institution. It doesn't mean anything that today we live in a mental institution. 'Cause everything's crazy. They're doing away with borders. It's a new world. It's a new day. There is a new world order coming to your town. You better get ready. You better get ready. It's a new day. It's a new way. It's a new day. It's a new way.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows.
Oh, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. This is Saturday night, and you're not going to believe what I got for you right here on Revolution Radio. Oh, yes, this is our first broadcast in quite a while, and everybody's listening in, and so here we go. Welcome to the Samsel Report, coming to you live from beautiful Clearwater, Florida. The phone line is up. The number to call in is 727-474-1086. Oh, yes, because I want to hear from you. Okay? All right? So let's get this show on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, our government is a cesspool of corruption. Our industrial might is a thing of the past, and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are being trashed by a treasonous, out-of-control government intent on enslaving the American people. I know it sounds just like something from out of the Twilight Zone. Oh, yes. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? You know what? We live in the Twilight Zone. Oh, yes, we do.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance. You are bombarded by the conditioning illusion projected forth by corporate and government-controlled mass media. A world of mind-controlled automatons, unable to think or speak out or stand up for themselves. You're entering a world where everything is just the opposite of what you think it is. You are living in the Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone.
Oh, yes, indeed. We live in the Twilight Zone. The mainstream media is a weapon that is being used to control and dumb down the American people. Even as they are raped financially, their rights and liberties trampled upon, and America destroyed by design. That's right. Oh, look out.
You're riding with Wild Bill's Freedom Posse.
That's right. Oh, yes, you're riding with the Freedom Posse. That's right. And now it's time for an important message, especially for you listeners out there. Oh, yes, because this program on Revolution Radio is listener supported. And that means you, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this network and you like this program, then please send us money. Now, we don't want a whole lot of money, but all we want is whatever you can spare. That's it. So please help fund this broadcasting network because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You need this broadcasting network. Revolution Radio is the voice of truth and freedom that you won't hear anywhere else. That's right. Oh, man. So please help support informative, entertaining, fabulously original, innovative, cutting edge, enlightening, mind expanding, and awe inspiring programs just like this one. Okay? It's the Samsel Report is heard only on Revolution Radio. So send us money. Okay? All right. All right. Well, hello to everybody out there in Internet Radio Land. You guys in the chat room, guess what? I can see you guys in the chat room. Hey, look at there. Yes, indeed, baby. I can see you guys there in the chat room. Hello, chat room. Oh, man, I couldn't do that before, you know. No, no, this is something new. Now I can see what you guys are talking about in there. So, okay, all right, okay. Well, I tell you what, we have a special guest coming on tonight. That's right, Outlaw Morgan will be with us later on in the program. Okay, all right. You know, I have been away, ladies and gentlemen. I have been away. Go away. Here, get rid of this. Pick that up. Okay, I have been away. But, you know what? I've been watching. I've been looking at the goings on. Okay? And let me tell you something. It is a freaking madhouse. Oh, yes. I see the street thugs of Black Lives Matter going berserk out in the street. Oh, yes. It's getting so that the cops can't shoot anybody black. You know what I mean? Huh? Now, these cops are no sweet, innocent little angels either. Oh, no. Well, you got to consider the fact that they've been militarized against the citizenry. That's right. That's right. There no more Adam 12 people, right? Right? No more Dragnet. No more chips. Huh? You know what I'm saying? That's right. No more. So nowadays they act like stormtroopers. Right? Am I right? Meanwhile, you got George Soros out there, right? You got George Soros out there. He's paying for hiring, right? He's paying people he's inciting people. He's agitating the brain dead street thugs to violence and social chaos. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And that's not all. That's not all. I've been watching Obama import as many Middle Eastern refugees as he possibly can. Huh? He bring them over here and force them on cities and states that don't want them. Huh? By and large, the American people don't want them. Oh, no. But I tell you what you're going to get them anyway. Right? 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 They're flying in as many planes as they can stuff. Oh man, they intend to flood us with Muslim refugees just like they have done to Europe. Okay? Now, what you see happening in Europe is what you're going to see in your city, right? Right? Your town, your community, especially if Hillary gets in there, right? So look out, right? Look out. My God, I tell you what. we we have headlines. We have headlines. Let's look at a few of these headlines that we got here. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, look. Top NSA official. A top NSA official says Spy Grid is helping establish world government. Okay. Yeah, this is a former NSA technical director warns of global surveillance grid. So they're taking the whole ball of wax and they're going to turn it into one great big, centrically controlled, total surveillance grid. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you won't be able to fart without it being tracked and traced. Oh, no, no, no. You will function like a machine. Someone else will control your every move. Oh, man. Parenting magazine warns that blonde, cheerful families. What is this? What is this? Parenting magazine warns blonde, cheerful families are dangerous. I swear to God, I'm staring right at it right here in front of me. Right? The report says ordinary parents must take action against right wing families and make clear that their ideology has no place in the world. How do you like them apples? Huh? Huh? Hmm? Man, oh man, have we got headlines? But I tell you what. Oh my God, I've been away, but I've been paying attention to what's going on out there. Oh yes, oh yes. So here's some Obama news for you. We got some Obama news here. Okay, all right. Here we go. First Obama headline. Obama thinks U.S. sovereignty is overrated. That's right. We should succeed our freedoms to the United Nations. Well, that's according to Barry Obama. Right? Right? Am I right? Oh, yes. Uh, have have you ever? I don't know. I have never. Have you ever heard of such bull hockey? Huh? Sovereignty overrated. We should succeed our freedoms to the UN. Obama brags about his globalist legacy at final UN speech. So he goes over there and he brags about he brags about how basically about how he's done so much to turn U.S. sovereignty over to the United Nations. Obama turns internet control over to the United Nations. That's another one. So you do realize that this is what, October 1st? Well, this is the day that officially the United Nations will now be in charge of the internet. So Look out for censorship to begin. Okay? All right. But we got plenty of Obama news. Obama blocked the 9/11 Victims Seeking Justice Act. But then again, the Senate voted to override Obama's 9/11 veto bill. So there you have it. There you go. Okay. Obama vetoed the bill last week, explaining that the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act would erode the doctrine of sovereign immunity and expose the United States to lawsuits around the world. Oh boy, JASTA, which passed unanimously in both the House and Senate, allows judges to waive sovereign immunity claims when dealing with acts of terrorism committed on American soil, potentially allowing lawsuits against Saudi Arabia over the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. 15 of the 9/11 hijackers were Saudi nationals. So there you have another headline there. Oh, here's a good one. Self-driving automobiles. Self-driving, oh yes. Oh yes, look out. Self-driving automobiles lead to massive population control. Oh, the truth about autonomous cars is that they don't want you to drive. See? That's the whole truth of it. They want you off the road. The control of your vehicle. You're going to have to pay for it. Okay? All right? Or they'll take you back and forth to your slave job. Right? But the car will spy on you as well. Right? Right? It'll report you for wanting to go somewhere you're not supposed to go. Oh, look out. You can't go nowhere where you're not supposed to go, right? In order to get around, you're going to have to use public transportation. Okay. Anyway, you're monitored. You're monitored no matter what form of transportation you choose. And it's all part of the total surveillance control grid, isn't it? Isn't it? I mean, come on, people. They're turning over control to the internet to the United Nations. But, it's all part of the globalist plan. It's part of the globalist plan to start censoring internet content. And that means anybody who opposes globalist one world government will be silenced and shut down. People like Drudge, InfoWars, Savage, and yes, Revolution Radio, because we are all crazy crazy conspiracy theorists. That's what we are, aren't we? My God, we spew hate. We spew hate and racism, right? Am I right? Give me a break. Give me a break. You know what? You know what? I think we ought to throw that one. Let's stick that in the old corral, okay? All right. So get on in there. Get on in there. Get yourself on in there. My goodness, I tell you what. These headlines are enough to drive you out of your mind, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Here we go. Germany. In Germany, ladies and gentlemen, Arab migrants are playing Taharush, which is a sexual assault game at public pools. Taharush. How do you play Taharush? How do you play Well, I'm going to tell you how you play Taharush. Okay? This is a game in the Middle Eastern countries where groups of Arabs surround women and girls and sexually molest them by grabbing their private parts and tearing off their clothes. Oh, it's a fun game. It's a great game. You know that? So, okay, all right. So in Germany and France, gangs of Muslims are showing up at public pools. There, they intimidate the locals and sexually assault the women and children. Oh, yes, they also urinate and defecate in the water, but that's besides the point. Okay? All right? It's all part of the new cultural enrichment of European society. That's right. And if Obama and Hillary get their way, it'll soon be coming to cities all across America. In fact, it is happening as I speak. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We are under attack. We are being invaded. The globalist plan is to bring down the Western world by flooding it with Islamic extremism. Consider that nearly 100% of moderate Muslims support death by beheading of Christians, gay people, women who commit adultery, and rape victims. They like to sexually mutilate young girls, too. They also marry off prepubescent little girls as young as 6 and 7 years of age to perverted, dirty old men. That's right. Perverted, dirty old men. Oh, yes. These are the very same ragheads that like to buff little boys as young as 6 and 7 years of age. But that's somehow okay. Nevertheless, throw the gay guy off the building anyway. Okay? All right? Meanwhile, a husband can kick the hell out of his wife publicly. The same religion of peace that says it's okay to kill your daughter for any of a variety of reasons, and death to all who insult Islam. Oh, yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, what kind of crappy religion is that? That's the kind of crummy religion that government is bringing to our neighborhoods across the country. To ignore the warning signs and import thousands and upon thousands of these people into this country is an act against the safety, security, and sovereignty of America and the American people. This insanity needs to be coming to a screeching halt. Oh, yes, indeed. And I do believe that, like I said, we are being invaded, ladies and gentlemen. What we are going to do now is play a clip. Oh, you thought you were not gonna? Well, we're gonna play a clip. All right, so check this out. Check this out. Here we go.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice.
Will the Muslim ghettos that are crippling Europe right now strike America next? Well, that all depends on the next election. InfoWars reporter John Bound joins us now. We just saw your report on the tsunami of immigrants that is striking Europe, soon to be in the United States as well, if we're not careful.
Well, they're here, and one thing that our Constitution guarantees is that we ensure our domestic tranquility and we provide for the common defense. And everything that Obama and company have done has been an act of going against the very foundation of this country, which is to provide a common defense and provide national security. The national security is obviously being used on us, the Americans. And a flow of terrorist organizations have already been here for decades. They've
and I want to cut you off, but you've been on the border towns. You've done reports right there on the Texas border. Mm-hmm. And these guys, the Texas Border Patrol volunteers, we've seen that they are seeing alarming items such as Iranian cash. So it's not just all Mexican immigrants, folks, on where they're seeing Iranian cash, Muslim prayer rugs, and Arabic to English translation books. They're here.
The most alarming aspect of all this is that a lot of this, you know, we live in an era right now where we're getting our information from hackers and Snowden-level intrusions, and it's the only way we can get our information. And at the end of that report, I read what Breitbart Texas had revealed, that 7,712 terrorists were encountered. Terrorist encounters were held right there on the border of the United States and Mexico. So as these small skirmishes crop up, like what happened in Orlando, and that wasn't small by any account, that was a record mass shooting by a single shooter. Or, you know,
but it was a radical Muslim terrorist.
It was a radical Muslim terrorist who, even to this day, I don't know if you knew the Gold Star mother who was asking Obama why he won't say radical Islam. Mm-hmm. He still won't say it because he doesn't want to offend anybody. Well, we're getting past the point of offending anybody. It's going to be really offensive when you've got a machete in your skull, or your kid's arms are blown off, or these things continue to aggressively, exponentially increase.
Well, that's right. And a lot of the bleeding-hearted liberals, this is the way they get you. They say it's a humanitarian effort, and a lot of liberals do understand it's because of U.S. foreign policy that this is happening, but what they don't understand, it is by design. I mean, these are proxy wars that are there by design to destabilize the regions there so the United States could take over, take advantage of the resources, because this is another strategic placemat on the grand chessboard. And trust me, folks, they want to do the same thing here at home. That's why George Soros is funding Black Lives Matter. He's also funding the whole Muslim refugee crisis in the United States. He's funding Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, and he wants to flood the entire United States with Muslim refugees. And that way, it's divide and conquer. Am I right?
Yeah, and what is the vetting process? How is the vetting process actually going to help? Or is it just more nonsense out of Washington, D.C.? It doesn't matter how many people you vet, how much information you have on them. They will radicalize once they get here, and it's upwards of, 23% at least? According to an article by Paul.
Well, according to Barack Obama, we're all afraid of 3-year-old baby orphans. But the sad truth is the majority are males.
Well, it's not a joke anymore. It's not a joke anymore. Americans are being killed. You're not being killed. You're sitting at home watching this TV show, but somebody else in America was attacked by a guy with a machete. There was a guy that attacked a bunch of people in a mall in Minnesota. There are Americans being attacked, and what worries me is that we've become this domesticated nation. Alex has in the past always said that he fights for the free, wild human. Think about that. There was a time when we were like wild beasts in the Wild West in the 19th century. The Constitution meant something. And if you did something wrong, then you had to be held accountable for it against the other wild, free humans that lived here.
The Constitution meant more than a football game?
It did.
Really?
It did. Yeah, it actually did. It meant a lot. But now we've become like these tranquil, domesticated animals, you know, the pets that we keep in our house.
It's the pussification of America.
Absolutely. And we're going to either realize that very quickly, as long as we get enough people ahead of the curve like we are here. And that's not because we sit around all day and think about conspiracy theories. It's because we know the horrible facts, the horrible truth.
Well, we're talking about how they get through the border illegally, but they're also fast-tracked here through the refugee crisis. Hillary Clinton, it's like they're always trying to outdo each other, because Bill Clinton says he wants to fill the city of Detroit with Syrian refugees. Then Barack Obama says he wants 40,000 of them here. And then Hillary Clinton says, hey, I could do better than that. I want 65 to 70,000 here. And what they want is, what'll end up happening is you'll have these Muslim ghettos like you have in Belgium. You know, our guys went there. These are no-go zones. The police won't even go there. And folks, that's not racist. That's just the cold hard truth.
There are already areas, Dearborn, Michigan,
absolutely,
Amarillo, Texas, that are already on the verge of becoming Sharia law areas, and they're also experiencing rape is going up just like it is in Sweden, and that's happening right here in America, and it has to stop, and we have to put a stop to it. The criminals are running the pageant here, and the problem is that we have to stop that narrative. We have to invite the true narrative in and start talking to each other honestly about what's happening, and stop ignoring what's happening in places because they're 1,000 miles from you, but still in your same country.
According to Pew Research, among others, there is a great hatred toward Americans by large segments of the Muslim population. Most recently, a poll from Center for Security Policy released data showing 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans, these are people that are here, by the way, people are here, 25, not 1%. By the way, 1% would be unacceptable. 1% is unacceptable. 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans here in the United States is justified.
This has to be the topic that is on the forefront of everyone's mind.
And you're absolutely right. And we're going to take a quick commercial break right now. But wait, it's not what you think. This is a TV ad that they're using to indoctrinate or brainwash people in Sweden to accept Muslim migration there. And basically they're saying, get used to it because they're there and they're here to stay.
Det finns ingen väg tillbaka.
Sverige blir aldrig som det varit.
Europa är I förändring.
There's no turning back. That's a quote. Swedish TV ad says Swedes must accept multiculturalism. It shows old Swedes and basically says you're the past. And then you've got the subtitles. A Muslim woman looks up and says something new, the new country. No turning back, a woman in a hijab. And we have George Soros' own emails running the UN, running the Obama administration, running the Hillary operation, saying we're bringing these people in to break down the culture and make the Western free culture adapt to it and submit to it. Because we're so inclusive, we must bring in something uninclusive to make our people submit to this. Then the Muslims will be the client of the government.
Wow, so there you go. That's a heavy piece of propaganda there in Sweden. I don't think it's going to work here, though.
No, it's not going to work here. In fact, the Chicago Council on Global Affairs poll found that just 36% of Americans support bringing Syrian refugees in. And that's going to go down as Hillary pushes it up to 500%, just like her husband, Bill Clinton, incarcerated 500% more Americans after he became president. It's a globalist nightmare. Hillary is a globalist. And if you vote for Hillary, you're voting for a globalist stooge.
That's right. And unlike Muslim refugees who are fleeing their countries, that's not going to happen in America. We're staying here. We're going to fight.
There you go. There you have it. There you go. We have a problem with this. If Hillary gets in there, we're finished. As a culture, and like I said, I've been watching these goings on, and they are oh man, I like I said. This is probably going to be the most important presidential campaign in the history of this country. This campaign, who winds up in the White House is going to have a drastic effect on what the future is going to be like. And I just don't, I cannot see the. I grew up in a whole different world. The world that I grew up in was totally different than the one I'm facing every day now. When I grew up during the '60s and the '70s, it was a whole different country. Oh yes, it was. The future that we leave for our children and their children. That's the important thing that we have to worry about, ladies and gentlemen. And this we have a call coming in, so let's go see who we have there. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Oh, I'm stumbling through us through the news. I'm stumbling through the news. So, where are you calling from?
Well, this is Outlaw Morgan.
Oh, okay. You're all right.
So I'm calling from South Florida.
Okay. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is our guest, Outlaw Morgan. I'm glad that you could make it onto the show.
Yeah, I'm a little late. I know you told me 8:30. I just literally got back to my house from an event with the family. So.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. And you also went somewhere else, didn't you, just a little while yesterday? You were down at the Republican.
Yes. No, well, not the Republican. I went to the Hillary Clinton rally in Fort Pierce.
All right. Okay. And what did you encounter there?
Well, let's see. If I had to give you a rundown of my general census of what I found from the average Hillary Clinton supporter, it would actually be that they don't know their candidate at all. And they don't care to know facts, statistics, grounded evidence, or truth. They're basically people that want to protect their bubble, and they will fight you to protect the lie.
Yeah. They're very closed-minded. They refuse what their eyes can see. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't call them closed-minded, because in their own view of belief, they feel that they're very open-minded, and that we as Trump supporters are the ones that are closed-minded. Now, they are open-minded to the ideologies of liberalism. They are open-minded to the ideologies of left and Democrat. They are open to the idea. They support things. They feel that because they support things such as, like, gay rights and importing refugees and things of this manner, that they're open-minded. However, you nailed it. I mean, but I just wanted to clarify. I mean, when it comes to you actually talking to them about Saudi Arabia, like, I had an opportunity to speak with a couple gay guys, and I was explaining to them that the candidate they're going to see speak, the one that they are actually supporting, and the one that they're pledging their support for, as far as through voting systems, she's supported by Saudi Arabia. She is supported by terrorist organizations, and therefore she's a pay-for-play. She's basically a prostitute in the political system. And if you pay her enough money, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from,
right,
what organization you're with, or what you represent. She takes all money from every direction.
Right.
And by being funded by Saudi Arabia, by being funded by terrorist organizations, you have to endorse their principles and beliefs of life. And therefore, they actually support and endorse the ideas of basically executing gay people because they're gay. Right. And the funny thing is, when I present this to people, some people act like, wow, I never heard that before. I could kind of just read it in their faces, but the overall general census from what I gathered is they have the I don't care mentality. Oh, I don't care. I'm with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, are you serious? Like, do you not hear what I'm telling you? And then at the same time, you need to multiply this, you know, with the idea that she wants to import 500% more immigrants into the United States, and more or less. We're not talking Hispanics. We're talking people from the Middle East.
Right. The
So
floodgates.
the same people that can be fundamentalists of this culture,
Right.
They consider themselves to be moderates of this belief system, but they're fundamentalists, meaning that they actually support the idea of executing gay people. She is putting that on she's expediting this course to take faster intake. And you want to vote for her. I'm mind-boggled by this. You know what I mean? I am truly mind-boggled by this.
It is one big problem. Now I paid attention to the I saw the debate between her and Trump, and I was less than impressed. You know, I mean,
by both sides, by one particular side, or
well, no,
say that, like
she certainly had him on a defensive a lot. She had him on a defensive.
And that's fine. Listen, I'm going to tell you something, because as you can tell from the way my tone speaks when you ask me questions, or the way I just actually speak by nature, I'm a very compassionate person. So therefore, I tend to speak a lot on the defense myself.
Right.
But it's because I care. So if Trump comes off as he's defensive, it means because he's passionate and he actually gives a crap.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, versus someone who's smug, has this resting bitch face look, and you know, and she feels like she has this in the pocket. Like, honestly, that's when she speaks, that's what I see: cockiness, arrogance, and smug.
Oh, right.
So if you imagine if you were in a room with Hillary Clinton and you had to debate her.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine let's just flip that scenario. I imagine if I was in a room with Hillary Clinton and I had the opportunity to actually ask her questions, it would be hard not to come off the leash, break the chain, and attack her like a pit bull.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, it would be hard to hold myself back.
Well, she's totally vulnerable. Yeah.
So, I mean, basically, Trump was responding to the fact that she had gotten the questions to the debate 2 weeks prior. Mm-hmm. Trump was not as prepared as Hillary Clinton.
Say, right.
Yeah. So, and I can tell you, because I have been to a Trump rally, you know, and I've watched this man speak. There is no teleprompter. You know what I mean? There is no conduct of ethics or whatever. He literally just shoots it from the hip.
Right. He was,
and that's what I like.
He was winging it through the whole debate, right?
And that's perfectly fine.
Right.
But what's not fine, let me tell you, because everybody wants to, like, you know, even I've talked to people that are even Trump supporters, and they try to go to this thing where it's like, well, our boy didn't look good tonight. This is not NFL football. Mm-hmm. This is not if it is, this is the Super Bowl of your lifetime.
Right.
This is the Super Bowl of your lifetime, and your team better not lose. And you better get your attitude right and put yourself in check. Because, like I tell people all the time, does Trump speak brash? Yes, of course he does. Does he say things that are pretty brazen and, like, can offend people? Yes, absolutely. But when you look at his actual policies, when you look at what he's trying to implement, the ideas that he's trying to execute, he is the only one worth picking. I mean, when is the last time you've ever seen Hillary Clinton speak at a Tea Party rally?
That's been a good long time, yeah.
Or never.
Or never.
Or never. When's the last time you ever seen Hillary Clinton speak at a rally that was pro-Second Amendment? Not Tea Party, but they do have pro-Second Amendment rallies that take place throughout the United States. And Hillary Clinton has never once spoken in favor of people being able to use self-preservation to the means of arming themselves with firearms.
Right.
Ever. She's never, ever.
Law. Yeah, right.
Ever. Dude, you never heard her speak in a positive manner.
Because as soon as she gets in there, for the minute that she gets into the White House, she will go back on every single thing that she's promised that, you know, everything that she says. She'll go
You're
the opposite, right?
You're absolutely right. Look at her. Look at her entire career.
Mhm.
Hillary Clinton is the epitome of corrupted politics.
All right.
She is the epitome of self-enrichment through politics.
The White House
She
will
is
be for
basically.
sale. The White House will be
It
for
already
sale.
is. It already is.
Well,
And it has been for
but I
years.
mean, it'll really go. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Look
yeah,
out.
yeah. I mean, now we'll just literally put the White House on Craigslist at this point. You know what I mean? Like Craigslist and like OBO, which means or best offer.
There you go.
You know what I mean? But Hillary Clinton is basically she is nothing more than what's trendy, what's cool, and what's hip. So basically, if you go back and read her history, or you look at videos of things that obviously show her speaking. One minute she's opposed to gay marriage. One minute she's okay with partnerships. Then the next minute she's totally for gay marriage and speaking like she's felt that way the entire time. But no, she hasn't.
Exactly. First, she's against she's for the TTP, right? The TPP, she's for the TPP. Then she turns around and she's against the TPP. Yeah.
Right. Well, she was only against the TPP the moment she saw that Trump coming out and saying he does not support the TPP from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just make that very clear. This gentleman has come out from the beginning and said, I do not support the TPP.
Right.
Now she saw what leeway that was gaining him, so she switched.
Okay.
And I think it's important for your listeners to understand the word switched. Because her entire career has been nothing but switch. Some people call it flip-flop. I'm going to call it switch.
Oh, she get in the White House, forget about it. The first thing she's going to sign is a TPP.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, no, not even just that, man. She's going to. If you think that you've seen Obama do things that are questionable at this point, like if you really break it down on a realistic level of where we're at with society, with the riots, with the chaos, with the civil unrest that's starting to ensue across our nation.
Right.
And then you start to look at it, because a lot of people aren't doing this, man. Like a lot of people are not slowing themselves down enough to say, okay, well, wait a minute. This is all being it's almost as being fueled, right? It's being fueled by media. You're being told there's all this crazy racism. You're being told that there's this underlying beast that you can identify that's just corrupting your life. So therefore it's implementing you to feel as if you're a part of this victimhood, which is called cultural Marxism. Yeah. But the scary part is this thing's being perpetuated. They are literally fanning the flames to make it progress into something much bigger. There's a monster coming. I don't know if you know it, but there's
the George Soros is a monster. George Soros is a Godzilla. He's
one of them. He's one of the biggest. He's one of the biggest players in the game. But let's not forget that Rothschilds literally go back to the beginning of the banking system implemented in the United States from the UK.
Exactly.
But however, let me digress for just 1 second to kind of give you an idea of what I see that's about to occur. Again, let me reiterate that they are perpetuating the state of civil unrest is coming. They are creating this race war. They are creating the idea of civil war, revolutionary war, or whatever you may want to paint it to be.
Right.
At the same time, let's dial it back a bit and say, okay, well, what happened with the NDAA? Well, it was passed. So you can be detained indefinitely without due process.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go a step further. They also pretty much banned the right to peaceful assembly. They banned the idea of protesting. I don't know if people remember this or not, but they actually passed a bill where protesting is technically illegal and can get you felony charges.
Right.
Okay, now let's take this up another notch. They've already been talking about using the UN as a global police force, but what a lot of people don't know is they've already passed bills. I can't remember what it was. It's something about casualties, etc.
Right.
But they've already passed bills where they're trying to implement the use of American soldiers against American civilians.
Oh, yeah.
In a hostile emergency type of situation. Now, I think it's important that a lot of people in their day-to-day lives don't tend to remember these things that occurred because we all have a 15-minute attention span.
Right.
But I tend to have one that's more like a Rolodex. Like I'm like, okay, got it, and I'm moving on to the next thing. Okay, got it.
Right.
Like I told you the other day when we talked off air and we were having a conversation.
Right.
This thing is like a series on Netflix, and once you're actually all caught up, you're watching it in real time.
Mm-hmm.
and you know who the players are, and you're actually solving all the problems of who, why, when, where, what on the fly.
You're
and you
seeing all the
understand what their motives are.
manipulations. All the manipulations are just bare, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the glasses on. You put the glasses on, you can see what the sign says. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like Roddy Rod Piper in that movie where he put the glasses on, he saw signs that said obey, consume,
right,
things of that nature. Now, I'm not saying, listen, for your listeners,
right,
in case they don't know who I am not saying that our military would do that. Okay, first and foremost, if you don't know who I am, you would know, and if you do know who I am, I should just say that I'm an avid supporter of military. I'm an avid supporter of police. I'm an avid supporter of law and order, as long as it's all done within the constitutional guidelines.
Right.
As long as you support the Constitution, Bill of Rights, etc.
There you go.
Now, if you support corporate law, maritime law, then you suck. Point blank. You are not on our team. And I think it's important that I tell people all the time, you do realize government is only like 500 to 600 people tops, right?
Oh yeah.
So we have 500 to 600 people that are dictating our course in life. They are steering this ship. They are doing things that are designed against us. They are passing bills. They are passing laws that are basically to protect themselves from us. Now, however, because I love the us versus them theory.
You're right.
So however, we, the people, are millions.
Hold on, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Looking for a nightcap to fill your listening needs? Come join us on Spaced Out Radio with me, Dave Scott, right here on Revolution Radio. Monday through Friday for 3 hours a night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we will take you down the supernatural path. From ET contact to the paranormal and all of the spiritual, cryptid, and conspiracy stories in between. You can find us right here on Revolution Radio, at spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter at spacedoutradio, and on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show. Spaced Out Radio. It's a night of talk and interaction. Are you experienced?
Hello, my name is Mr. Rowe. I am the host of Reality Extraction on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I utilize logic, intellect, and magic to methodically atomize, vivisect, analyze, examine, study, scrutinize, and extract an essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday at 1700 hours Pacific Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
Enjoy your extra big-ass fries.
You didn't give me no fries. I got an empty box.
Would you like another?
Extra big-ass fries.
I said I didn't get any.
Thank you. Your account has been charged. Your balance is 0. Please come back when you can afford to make a purchase.
No.
I'm sorry you're having
trouble.
trouble.
Come on. My kids are starving.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio.
Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, but above all, we believe in freedom of existence through self-reliance. This station is 100% listener-supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I have a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, the shit hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our seed pack special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need, as humans, to start taking care of ourselves and not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What we do in life, it goes in eternity.
This is Barbara DeLong, host of Nightlight Radio, inviting you to join me on a cosmic journey, exploring a metaphysical montage of spiritual material, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between, including spiritual readings for those who seek enlightenment. Let Nightlight provide you with equal measure of light, love and laughter, insight, wisdom, and inspiration. Monday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern, right here on Studio B, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Hang on. Okay, they're shooting. Hang on. Okay, we're here. Go ahead and shoot me. Damn. Trying to. Shoot me. Get on the ground. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Shoot me. You have to shoot me. Damn it. Are they shooting him? Did they shoot him? You asshole. Oh my God! Okay. Stay down. Is he dead? Don't get out. I'm EMT! Stop it. Are you hit? No, I'm EMT! Oh, hold on. Don't do it. Hey, no shooting. Don't do anything. Get over here. Where the hell is the boy? Down. I can't see. No! Shut up. Oh, shit.
They just killed the boy.
Did they kill him?
None of us know the truth. The offense that was committed, it was committed against you. All of you. So if that makes you angry, do something about it. When Benjamin Franklin left Independence Hall just after the second drafting, he was approached by a woman on the street. The woman said, "Mr. Franklin, what manner of government have you bequeathed us?" And Franklin said, "A republic, madam. If you can keep it. The responsibility of a country is not in the hands of a privileged few. We are strong and we are free from tyranny as long as each one of us remembers his or her duty as a citizen. Whether it's to report a pothole at the top of your street or lies in a State of the Union address, speak out, ask those questions, demand that truth. Democracy is not a free ride, man. I'm here to tell you. But this is where we live. And if we do our job, this is where our children will live. God bless you.
Welcome to the last breath of liberty in the United States and probably the world. Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, bringing you the news, the information, and as much truth as we can eke out.
Who are we? Where do we come from? Are you curious about the origins of the human race? Join me, Gavin McCall, and a variety of guests on Ancient Humans, where we decipher world events, explore scientific theories, personal stories, myths, mysteries, and lore about the history of the human race.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
And we are back.
Yes, it's the Samsel Report with your host,
Wild Bill.
All right, we are back for our second hour. My guest is Outlaw Morgan. He is somewhat of a phenomenon on Facebook with his videos and live broadcasts. More and more people are turning on to Outlaw Morgan. Now,
Thank you.
Outlaw, I think what our biggest threat at the present moment is the illegal immigration and the importation of thousands and thousands of refugees from the Middle East.
I agree, but I would also say that those things correlate with other issues that are at play as well.
That's true.
Basically, in a nutshell, there's a reason that European countries such as the UK, Britain, Germany, Australia, Denmark, Sweden, there's a reason that they're taking these migrants in at the levels that they're taking them in, and it has nothing to do with national security. It has nothing to do with humanitarian principles.
All right.
A lot of what I've actually found through research, because I am a tinfoil hat wearing, I dig to the end of the earth to try to find answers. The things that I have actually found, now if your listeners don't know about this, this will probably blow their minds, but if they do their research, they'll actually see this to be true. If basically what this boils down to is, I wish I could be visual and show you graphs like pie charts, things of that nature. This is basically a move that's being done by the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, Paul Sutherland, J.P. Morgan, and things like that. This actually comes down to banks. They do not care about the well-being of the citizens. They do not care about rape statistics. They do not care about things that are factual. Through the course of their studies, they have found this basically reduces down to for fertility rating. The average household has a fertility rate of 1.38. So therefore, the average household only has one child, possibly two, and that averages out to 1.38.
Yep.
This kind of number does not sustain growth with dependency upon state and banking. So therefore, to sustain growth, they know, and you can take it how anyone takes it. I don't care how you take it. I'm only going to say the truth. You know what I mean? Like
Go for it.
Migrants. I'm sorry?
Go for it.
Yeah, migrants and illegal immigrants breed like cockroaches. And that's what it basically boils down to. And I hate to put anybody into the same category of cockroaches. We'll call it bunny rabbits. They actually breed at the rate of bunny rabbits. They produce like chickens lay eggs.
Oh, right.
And so basically, in a nutshell, this has nothing to do for the common good of the citizens who are currently citizens of said states or countries. But what this actually has to do with is increasing the numbers who can be dependent upon the state and dependent upon the banking system. The common European household, the common I hate to always throw race into the equation, but the common household of white people now only have 1 to 2 children. Back in the days when farming was an actual thing and you could actually live free and live off your own land and produce your own farming and produce your own animals and vegetables and collect rainwater. And before the government decided you could no longer live off the grid, it was possible to have a family of 6 children because they all actually play a role, a vital role, to keep the farm sustaining life. The old man grows old, he can't plow the fields no more, and the young people take over, and the old man gets to live out his days knowing that his children are now doing their part to keep the farm going, et cetera, et cetera.
But when you when you take and inject into that a foreign religion, a foreign mindset, a foreign element, then you're looking to break down the system, right?
Of course,
right?
Of course. Basically, in a nutshell, what ISIS is, what the liberal left, moderate day, brown shirt, Nazi, progressive is, they are a direct threat to the Western civilization's way of life.
Right.
Basically, their goals are one and the same. They basically want to annihilate the Western civilization's way of conduct. That's why you see there's, where it comes to the Nation of Islam, there's actually 3 layers to this thing. In the core of it, you have what's called jihad or caliphate. That's where they just by all means necessary force everyone to convert to Islam, even if it's by death. Now, on the outside of that circle, there's another layer where basically they implement their way in through things like Sharia law, whether it be through the court system, the legal system, the school indoctrinations, or whatever. Whether your child all of a sudden in a public school system in Jersey somewhere has to learn about Islam, that's through the political structure of Islam. On the outside of that circle, there's what's called the fundamentalist. Now, the fundamentalists actually truly believe that they're the moderates of their religion. However, if you actually strip them down like cores to an onion and peel the layers back, you'll find they're in support of things that are very Sharia compliant. They're in support of executing gay people. They're in support of stoning women to death. They're in support of beating women and honor killings and et cetera, because again, to someone who is the moderate day Muslim that was born in, say, Pennsylvania somewhere and literally raised in the United States, their ideologies will not
game. Right.
Yeah, their ideologies will not match those of the Middle East.
Right.
So, a lot of times, and I have this argument with a lot of people that follow me because, believe it or not, my wife's Muslim, but she is the epitome of raised in Canada, as liberal as it gets, doesn't wear a burqa, doesn't wear a hijab. She cooks my bacon, so her hands actually touch bacon. She's not the same core fundamentalist. She's against Sharia law. She's against people beating chicks. You know what I mean? So believe it or not. So again, and the only reason I use my wife as an example is because I am Captain America. So it's for me to say that I'm married to a woman who is of the Muslim faith is a really strange thing for people to have to digest. They're like, well, man, you fly a 1776 flag on your house. Absolutely, I do. You know what I mean? Well, you have a Confederate flag stuffed in a drawer somewhere in your garage. Absolutely, I do. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I am smart enough and I've been refined enough, luckily, through having a passport. And at one point, I actually was in the music business and I got to travel all over the country. I got to travel all over Canada and I got to be exposed to different elements. And I can tell you that there are definitely, for sure, moderate Muslims. However, is there an underlying problem to this religion? Absolutely. However, that problem is being integrated into modern day society. And one of the things, again, let me just go back to our current administration and possibly our future administration and just point out some things that I find very troubling where it comes to the ideologies of the Nation of Islam. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but if you actually did the research to find out how many people are in Congress, how many people are in the Senate, how many people are in current cabinets of the political system, the parties that have already converted to Islam, is terrifying. is terrifying. There are so many people that see. A lot of people when they think of the idea of the word Islam, they picture some dude that's a raghead, that's Ali Akbar. You know what I mean? Like they picture that to the T. But what's scary is there's a lot of people wearing suits and ties with blonde hair and blue eyes that have already converted to the Nation of Islam that you don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to me, that's terrifying. I can't speak for you because I don't know. I don't remember if we actually discussed this or not, but I am not religious.
Mm-hmm.
It was a decision I made very, very, very early in my life, believe it or not, man, like around first grade.
Mm-hmm.
That my mom tried to take me to Southern Baptist churches because I'm from the sticks of North Carolina.
Right.
She tried to introduce me to the ideas of Southern Baptist and Christian principles and stuff like that. And, like being around those people firsthand, I was like, I don't relate to these people. And I knew it by the time I was in the first grade. Honestly, I can, to even blow your mind more, I knew I was this way in kindergarten because my mom sent me to a private Christian school.
Okay.
And I broke a crayon, and I remember this is one of the only memories I have of being in kindergarten, believe it or not, but it's very vivid.
Uh-huh.
I broke a crayon, and I was sent to the pastor who was the principal.
Uh-huh.
And the principal, pastor, whatever you want to call him, pulls me in his office, sits me on his knee, and he says, we're going to have to pray to God for forgiveness for this. And even in kindergarten, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, is God going to send me to hell because I broke a crayon?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And he's like, let's bow our heads. So like, I bow my head, but I'm cocked one eye up out of the corner of my eye, and I'm looking at him, and he's like praying to God to forgive me for breaking a crayon. So I don't condemn anyone for having a religion,
right?
But I also don't condemn you if you don't. You could say I'm a staunch constitutionalist.
There you go.
I'm very hugging to the Bill of Rights.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're even Muslim. But however, what it boils down to is, and I have to tell my wife this a lot. Because I get that she has this big bleeding heart. She is like a Bernie supporter, liberal almost. You know what I mean? Like she's that overboard with it. And she wants to see nothing but the good in people. She wants to think that, life is this fairy tale story in the end and stuff like that. And I personally have lived a very different life. But because of my life, my father killed himself when I was 10, and I spiraled down a road of dropping out of school, and I've been to prison, and then I've gotten out and like pretty much turned my entire world 360. So it's like for me to actually be able to sit back and speak from a point of view where it's like I am the outcast of society, and I'm looking into the society that's growing outcast within itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a totally different realm for me, but what scares me is our political system is basically driving this ideology to accept Islam and condemn Christianity.
Right.
Now, even I, not religious, but grew up in a time where we did morning prayer. We did the Pledge of Allegiance. We were sold the idea of patriotism. Being older, I'm looking at a society that's condemning the idea of patriotism.
Right.
They're condemning the idea of morning prayer, and they're also starting to condemn the idea of the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right.
These things are being torn down for a reason. Basically, they've already sold you on the idea that if you hear anyone ever say the word sovereign citizen, they're a terrorist. Well, let's take a second to analyze that. What is a sovereign citizen? A sovereign citizen is a person that can actually live their life by their own rules and dictate their own direction, of course, of which they steer their own ship. A sovereign citizen would be allowed to dig a stock pond on land that they own without being sent to jail for 18 months. A sovereign citizen would be allowed to grow a garden in their own backyard and not be objected to digest GMO foods. A sovereign citizen is basically nothing more than the shining star of freedom, which was the idea of America.
Right.
But now they've literally come out and said that if you hear anyone trying to say they're sovereign citizens, they're terrorists. No, terrorists are the people who actually use pressure cookers with wires coming out of it attached to cellular devices to make a phone call, and that thing blows up in New York City.
Exactly.
That's a terrorist. And they can't even call that person
No,
a terrorist.
no, but-
They're like, well, we have to wait for more details to come out. We don't want to jump. Oh, shit. And it's a terrorist.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
However,
what was it that you
they-
said to me earlier today? You said Muslims are not terrorists, or what was that
Not,
saying? That,
no. I've told my wife this several times because I love her to death, and I'm totally okay with her being the person she is.
refresh
And
my memory on that one.
I basically told her, I said, not all Muslims are terrorists. That is true.
Right.
But apparently, it appears to me that all terrorists are Muslim.
It looks that way, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Now, if you want me to blow your mind even further, I grew up with a gentleman who actually tried to join ISIS.
Uh-huh.
I haven't talked to him in 13 years or better, and the FBI knows that because the FBI has been to my house asking me questions about this gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
But he himself created a fake passport. He went into Lebanon, and he went into Turkey and tried to enter Syria. Now, it was when he was in Turkey and he tried to enter Syria, they turned him away because of his passport, because on his, and he's a white guy. And on his passport, it says Omar something Muhammad.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But here's the thing. Again, allow me to say with great boldness, I am not religion. I do not do religion. I do not need religion. I do not want religion, and I do not care what anyone thinks about that. You are free to be whoever you want in society, as long as you're doing it within the guidelines of the Constitution, and as long as you're doing it within the guidelines of the law backed by the Constitution. Now, during the break, I heard a thing play where it was Lavoie's murder. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, that sent chills up my spine, because one of the first videos I ever made, one of the first things that I ever talked about publicly, without regard to my own safety, so to speak, because people like me are afraid to speak up. There's thousands of us. There's a lot of us. There's a world full of us. You know what I mean?
Right.
But our biggest fear is the minute we speak up, black SUVs show up to your house, and you get kidnapped by the fucking government and set off to some retraining camp somewhere. Now, let me just say that in itself should send you a very distinct message of what's wrong with our society.
Right.
If people are actually afraid that they're going to go missing if they actually speak against the ills of our society, that speaks in volumes by itself. And then there was a part where during the break, I heard the Lavoie soundbite that you played.
Right.
And the guy towards the end was talking about, if you don't think this actually affects you, it does. And if it makes you angry, it should. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
I remember I remember telling my wife when the boy was murdered, because let's face it, he was ambushed and he was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember telling my wife, I said, that's it. The Patriots are about to lose their shit. We're about to go to war. You know what I mean?
Right.
And nothing happened. And it's funny because a lot of people look to me as this person that I am online, and there's nothing fake about it. Outlaw Morgan is a very real person. It's just not my first name. Other than that, it is everything that I actually am as a person. And a lot of people are like, what are you going to, you talk all this Rambo, blah, blah. Honestly, I don't talk Rambo. I just talk against the government. I talk about the foul things that are being implemented by the parties that run our country.
Right.
And everybody's like, well, why don't you go do something about it? And I'm like, why don't you go do something about it? Like, and truth be told, if I tried to push for, say, a march on the Washington, or if I tried to ensue the ideology of even a revolution, let's just take it up a notch. Even if I call for revolutionary war and I have over 200,000 followers, maybe 5 of them are ready to go. That's how sad this is. You know what I mean? And like, I tell people all the time, you don't feel like Lavoie Finicum's fight was your fight. And I get that, because you're not a rancher. You live in South Florida like myself, or you live in New York, or you live in New Jersey, or you live in Pennsylvania, or whatever. And you didn't quite understand to the fullest of what these guys were fighting for. But what they were truly fighting for was valid. The government has overreached into their areas. They fracked their land. They've dug it up and stole all this uranium and silver and whatever else. And
I was reading on the web today that they're going to be confiscating Indian lands
Yeah. Oh, the Keystone Pipeline or some type of pipeline. Yeah.
Right. So this will be the first land confiscation since the reservation system was put in place. And then we're going to have another Indian war is what we're going to have, you know.
Well, I don't want to, again, I don't want to turn everything into race. But here's one of the funny things about that situation. More people have tuned in and paid attention to this pipeline because simply enough, they're Native Americans and indigenous people are cool all of a sudden. That's trending.
Yeah.
But when it was white guys with cowboy hats having their land raped by the government, no one gave a shit.
Nobody raised any fuss. No.
No one gives a shit. So, I've literally done live feeds where it's like, I'm not racist. I'm obviously married to a West Indian and believe, when I was younger, I've had multiple relationships with black women. You know what I mean? So, I literally used to run in neighborhoods that had law enforced curfews. You know what I mean? Like, so I've been in, you could say my hood pass at one point in my life was good. I could go anywhere and no one would ever mess with me. So, a lot of people wanted to assume that I'm racist, but I'm not. I just point out the obvious. And a lot of times I get emails where people are like, from the black community or Hispanics or whatever. And they're like, I thought you were a racist until I watched a lot of your videos. And then I realized what you're doing is basically pointing out the obvious. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. I mean, there you go. That's basically all I'm doing. I mean,
they are forcing the racial thing on us. They
are. Now, and here's the thing. Like, the other night I was doing a live feed on Facebook and I was discussing that. And, like you always get the one guy, you always get a couple people that are really educated and they're really profound and they can see just like what you just said is being forced upon us. This is, for a lot of people that don't know what this terminology I'm about to say means, let me say it slowly. Hegelian dialect. It starts with an H. Hegelian dialect. Some people refer to it as Hegelian philosophy. You should really look into what Hegelian dialect is. It comes from a German philosopher, and basically what Hegelian dialect is called problem, reaction,
solution.
Exactly, and basically all three are implemented from the same source, meaning that government since the 50s created Operation Mockingbird, where they could use the media to like. Yeah, propagate their media through. Propagate their stuff through media.
Right.
And if you think that they did that for a war and then left it alone, you're dumb. Like, they ever since they implemented Operation Mockingbird, and I believe recently, actually, it wasn't long ago, they admitted to Operation Mockingbird, and they were actually saying that government is now. They went as far as to say the government's going to come out with their own channels. But you won't know that they're their channels. Do you understand what I just told you? Like they literally, this was recent. This was actually recent. They said that government is basically going to start setting up their own podcast. Government's going to start setting, but you won't know it's government.
Right.
So that's Operation Mockingbird on.
They've been doing it to us for ages. I mean, the entire 20th century was orchestrated. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, man, this thing goes back to the days when families would gather around an AM, FM radio.
Right.
And they told you that the aliens invaded, and people started losing their shit and bought it.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So if you think for 1 minute that these people can't pull some hocus pocus with some CGI Hollywood effects, you were out of your mind. Wow. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people think I'm crazy when I'm like, well, I don't think Sandy Hook was real. You know what I mean? They're like, well, you're just a fucking asshole. I'm sorry, I forgot I wasn't supposed to say that word. You're just an asshole. You know, and it's like, well, if you ever do any prying and true investigative work, which actually requires time, effort, and energy, then you will understand why I say that. You know what I mean? But however, these things are used to propagate the agenda for gun control, et cetera, et cetera. I mean,
exactly. Got George Soros stirring up Black Lives Matter over here. We've got racial riots in the streets. Then we've got the importation of all of these refugees. Now, this is a weapon that they are using. These people are refugees, but they're being used as a weapon. See?
Yeah,
To
of
break
course.
down a society.
Of course, because basically what happens, and I'm sure, we're two peas in a pod because we spoke the other day for as long as we've been speaking now or longer. And so in a nutshell, what they are doing is once they implement enough created, what I like to call manufactured chaos.
Right.
Once they actually orchestrate and fabricate and facilitate and perpetuate enough of this orchestrated chaos, then the average citizen will beg for your help and your assistance to the point they're willing to give you their guns. Because truth be told, the average human being is not capable of murder. Are they capable of buying a firearm? Yes. Are they capable of digesting the idea of what it takes for you to pull that trigger and actually murder someone? No. So, a lot of people that love the idea of freedom and support the Second Amendment are not okay with I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. We could actually annihilate ISIS. We could actually destroy this problem that's ensuing out of the Middle East. However, it would take biblical proportions of violence. And the liberal left and the modern day millennials cannot fathom what that actually means.
No.
It means that we will have to stomp out babies and children. It means we will have to murder women. It means we will have to kill anything moving and turn that place to glass. And once we've achieved that, ISIS will no longer be an issue. But the problem is the bleeding heart left, liberal, modern day, progressive Nazi cannot understand that that's what it will take. You know what I mean? Oh my God, did you just say you were okay with killing kids? Well, those are little Muhammads, bro. You know what I mean? Like those little Muhammads grow to be big Muhammads. And some of them don't even make it that far. They strap on the vest or the belt and they go blow themselves up in the name of Allah. So I'm sorry that we think, liberalism is a mental disorder, dude. It really is. Like
they don't realize that these people are being used as a weapon. They don't realize that the fact that for example, let me throw this at you. For example, Bill Clinton recently said that since Detroit has a 50% vacancy rate, I mean, half the people have moved out of Detroit, right? And what we should do is fill those vacant homes with refugees. Okay?
Of course.
All right. Integrate them into the American society, right? even though they refuse to assimilate. See?
Yeah. Well, let me take what you just said, and now let's cross-reference that and parallel that to the activities that have actually occurred in Germany and France, etc.
Exactly. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. So France. Let me go back to Germany. Germany has been hit really hard with the intake of migrants there. Now, Merkel was actually trying to implement ways to create jobs for these people, right?
Right.
And the overall census of their rebuttal to that was, we're your guest, we ain't doing shit.
Well, these people can't read, they can't write, they can't count, they can't...
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to bring all these people to Detroit who are not engineers, they're not in the field of construction, they're in the field of destruction. And destabilization.
Right.
Now, I want to let me put on my tinfoil hat for 1 second. Okay?
Okay.
Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of the State, stole $8 billion. All right?
Okay.
Now, more money has been stolen by her. Something to the effect of everything that she's pretty much stolen at this point comes up to about the effect of $1.3 trillion.
Yo.
Hillary Clinton, all by her cunt self, could have literally already stopped the water issue that's occurring in Michigan. So this is just me being the aggressive, loving American patriot, 1776 flag flying person I am. Okay.
Okay.
In the old days, to push people out of communities, they would start wildfires, brush fires, or just burn houses down or whatever and push everyone out. You remember that?
Yep.
So I'm telling you that my conspiracy theory, okay, now this is just mine. I've never heard anyone else ever mention it. This is my personal Outlaw Morgan conspiracy theory.
Okay.
They toxified this water on purpose.
They
created this.
Right. It wouldn't surprise me at all. No. Go ahead.
Because you know why? Because people of middle class stature, people who have money, people who have businesses, people who actually have means of picking up and leaving left. The poor that stayed is because they're poor and dependent upon government. They are dependent upon the Democratic Party, who's run Michigan for the past 60 years.
Right. You got it.
If you want to see the iconic child of liberalism, of Democratic failed policy, let's take a really good look at Michigan. And meanwhile, people are sending funds to try to sort out this thing with Michigan. And I don't remember her name, but the mayor of Michigan pocketed damn near all that money. Right?
Yeah.
You recall those headlines? You recall those articles?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm telling you that what I think, man to man, what I think, like, I don't even care if listeners are listening. This is just me speaking to you person to person.
Right.
I think that this was facilitated, orchestrated, fabricated, and executed to push people out of Michigan. So someone like Bill Clinton could come along at the right time and say, well, let's just put a bunch of fucking, I'm sorry, dude. Let's just put a bunch of refugees.
Culturally enrich the whole area. There we go.
Yep. Culturally enriched. Jeez,
Right.
Yeah. That's
Culturally-
exactly what that is. Yeah. So your daughter, your grandmother, even your 12-year-old son can get raped. And as they're getting raped, someone's in their ear screaming, Allah Akbar.
Exactly. They are importing these people over here, I tell you what, Sharia law is totally incompatible with
the Constitution. However,
Christianity.
I agree with you, but I'm sure that you, as well as I, can both look at what our government has done and is currently doing and kind of perceive what they're leaning to do. Like I said, it's a Netflix series. So once you're caught up, you kind of get an idea of what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Right.
I imagine before I pass, because I'm 41, I imagine that before I pass, Sharia law will be implemented in America somewhere, if not multiple places. And Americans, I hate to say it, man, but I'm going to say it because I hope that you to put a fire under some people's asses.
Right.
Americans are debt slaves and they're submissive.
Do you know Mark Dice? You've seen Mark Dice?
Oh, of course.
He
Yeah,
goes out
absolutely.
there and he asked him about Sharia law. Would you sign up for Sharia law? Do you think we should go to Sharia law? And they're just stupid people signing the petition.
Oh yeah. Well, these are the same people that were signing Mark Dice's petitions to euthanize old people.
Yeah.
And
right.
and Hillary Clinton's condemning Hillary Clinton stopping freedom of speech. I mean, I don't know where he's from. I think he's from California.
He's from San Diego out there. San Diego.
Is it San Diego? Because he's always around some like beach type little place where there's high traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And now where I live, there's no high traffic. I would love to be able to. I don't want to say like mimic, but yeah, pretty much mimic. I would love to just be able to go out into places and be like, here's this fake petition, and they want to pass this because of this, that, and the third, and just see how dumb. I mean, man, he basically proves that the common American is an idiot. And now, what's scary is
we're at. Yeah, this is what we got. This is what we're dealing with. These are people that are going to go out and vote for Hillary Clinton.
I was just about to say that exact same thing. Those are the same people I was screaming at and trying to have debates with and trying to enlighten and educate yesterday. Those are the same caliber of people, and you cannot reach them. We are two polar opposite ends of the magnet. We will never connect.
No.
You know what I mean? We will never connect. And even walking back to the vehicle when me and my buddy Survivalist Dan were leaving, there was a lady who kept shaking her head at us because we're holding Trump signs and Hillary for prison signs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady's like, "Are you guys for real?" And I was just like, yeah, we're pretty for real. And she's like, "Aren't you just, but doesn't this all just make you sad?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, what exactly what should be making us sad?" And she was like, "Oh, well, oh my God. I mean, Trump pushes a lot of racism and hate." And I was like, "No." And I tell this lady, I'm like, "No, actually, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Trump rallies. You know what I mean? And this guy is actually as pro-America as it gets. His tax plans and the ideas he wants to implement and the jobs he's looking to try to create. And he's the only I almost said it. He's the only person.
The guy's got thousands and thousands and thousands of people that show up to his rallies. The Hillary Clinton can't fill up the auditorium. You know, she could.
Listen, Hillary Clinton struggled to fill up this theater I went to. It was a theater.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking a capacity of 1,000 people, and only like maybe 800 people showed up.
Right.
And this place was in the middle of the hood. And I will tell you, there really weren't a lot of black people in that line in support of Hillary. It was middle-aged, dumbed down white Americans.
So where's all
I hate to
these
say it like that, but
supporters
that's
that
exactly
she
what it is.
The only supporters that she has are the rich industrial and the banks and Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah, Bilderberg, Rothschild,
Right,
Rockefeller,
right.
Soros, J.P. Morgan, Paul Sutherland. You know,
The whole bunch.
Yeah, those are the people. In other words, let's just wrap this down to a category. We'll just from here on out say the global elitist.
Right.
They are the ones that support Hillary Clinton. I mean, even, I'm proud of the black community. Let me just say that. Like, I am really proud of the black community because I see a lot of people online that are waking up to what plantation politics actually means.
Right.
They are waking up to the idea of Stockholm Syndrome. They are waking up to the idea of false victimhood and cultural Marxism. And the people that are actually the most professional in using Saul Alinsky tactics are Obama and Hillary Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I always say this. If you don't understand what it's like to pander to people, let me just give you an idea. If I, Outlaw Morgan, was running for president,
right,
and I came on your television and I said, black people have been oppressed and we're going to fight this racism. I'm going to fight for fairness. I'm going to fight for equality. Gay people should have the right to be gay and blah, blah, blah. Anyone that's gay, anyone that's black, all of a sudden just got an erection. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, yes, that's my person. You know what I mean?
Right.
But let me ask you something, and let's be brutally honest about it. In the past 35 years, what has Hillary Clinton done to actually abolish racism? What has she actually done to support gay rights? I mean, we have to, I feel it's important that we remind people that are listening that in the 60s, she actually marched against civil rights, and she was a Goldwater girl. She called black people super predators.
Mm-hmm.
She was never in support of gay marriage, and the list goes on and on. But now all of a sudden, because these things are trending topics.
Right. The incarceration rate for blacks went sky high.
Holy shit. Yeah. Bill Clinton put a war on not just drugs, but drug users, more or less.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, there's something to be said as a society when your government that you pay your taxes to that write the laws to use against you, and to pass bills in the House and the Senate and that are actually designed to use against you.
Well, all the black community needs to do is to look back at the past 20, 25, 30 years, right, and see that they have been just lied to and taken advantage of ever since,
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, honestly, like when I was at the Hillary Clinton rally, there was a couple of black people who were standing in line and like they kept us behind this one thing. So it's like a screaming match back and forth between us and them kind of thing. And I looked at the black people and I was like, you of all people, should not be standing in that line. You know what I mean? I was like, do you feel the hope and change that Barack Hussein Obama has promised you? If you tell me that you honestly feel the hope and change that's been provided to you, and that's why you're voting for Hillary, then I understand. But I think if we actually had an honest discussion, there's not anybody from the inner city, the ghetto, let's just call it for what it is. No one in the ghetto feels any type of hope and change.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing about plantation politics. You know what I mean? I think it's important that people understand this. Plantation politics is designed to keep black people down. Plantation politics is giving you a handout versus a hand up. It's giving you complacency versus opportunity. So it's easier for me to give you a freaking cell phone, you know what I mean, and an EBT card and some Obamacare than it is for me to give you the means to uplift yourself out of your own situation, for me to create an environment, a social stratosphere of sorts, where you can actually go out there and achieve on your own without my help.
Right.
You
But
see what I'm saying? And I think
you can't do nothing in the economic situation that we find ourselves in today, where you have over 50% of your black population is out of jobs and out of work.
well, you know, the truth is, man, numbers don't lie, but people do. So the problem is the number that you just talked about is actually way higher because we are only talking about numbers of what is actually being reported.
Right.
You know what I
exactly,
mean?
Yeah.
Anytime you talk about unemployment, you're only talking about people who actually have benefits.
People who no longer.
I mean,
right.
So let's take in the millions of homeless people
Mm-hmm.
into that equation. So that number is actually relatively higher than 50%. Now, I'm glad we talked numbers because it actually made me think about something else. And this goes back to Hillary Clinton and Trump's tax plans.
Right.
Let me put something into perspective for your listeners real quick because this will blow your mind.
Go ahead.
Hillary Clinton wants to raise income tax 25% or higher, actually. So let's just use a simple scenario, and I'll go through this real quick because I don't want to over talk this point. But if you have an income of say $70,000, now I know a lot of people don't have that type of income. That's fine, but we're just talking metaphoric numbers.
Right.
Say $70,000, you're taxed 25%. So now we're talking at least $390, $400 a month comes out of your paycheck and your earnings. We'll just call it 400 to round it up. Most people through the new healthcare system that was implemented through Obamacare is paying out at least $400 or better a month just to provide their own selves insurance because insurance is no longer insurance. You're basically just paying into your own credit card somewhere.
Right.
So let's say that's $800 a month right there. Now, what's funny about all this is that through Hillary Clinton's tax plan, she wants to create a 65% death tax. So you work your entire life, you build this nest egg so that when you actually have your casket drop into the earth, you pass something along to your loved ones, your wife or your husband or your children or whatever.
Right.
You get chucked in the earth and you leave this money behind for them because that's what your legacy is. That's what we are here for. We are here to try to make our exit at least benefit someone, right?
Right.
So Hillary Clinton's idea is that we tax people 65% in death. Before I even say anything further, let me also say this: Donald Trump is opposed to the death tax. He doesn't believe there should be a death tax at all.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing: if you actually combine these numbers that I just told you, right, and round them out, they literally just tax. We're talking a 40% tax in income. Then we're talking the health insurance industry that's raping people that don't use it until they start to die, and then they pay the 65%. So we're talking at least like 155 or 160% of a taxation within your lifetime. Mm-hmm. So when people actually come to me and they're like, well, Donald Trump didn't pay his taxes and he didn't report his taxes. Donald Trump is a genius and you're an idiot.
There you go.
That's what it boils down to. Donald Trump is a genius who figured out how not to pay. And we are the schmucks that are paying these people.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
We are the people that are paying over 150%.
And
from our life to our death.
Don't forget.
To our government.
Don't forget.
Taxation is theft.
I know. Don't forget that. Now I lost it. It just went blank.
Okay.
I hate when that happens.
We can go any direction you want at this point. I'm game. I love this. Like I told you the other day, I talk about this stuff all day long. It's not a problem.
Man.
All right. So I tell you what. Let me push you into a different direction.
All right.
Because I enjoy this kind of conversation. I love it. I love being honest. I love like picking things apart. Like I love putting the colors together like it's a Rubik's cube. So let me put this Rubik's cube together in a different way.
Go ahead.
A lot of people talk about voter fraud, right? And when we think about voter fraud, we're thinking about how George Soros is buying the ballot machines. We're thinking about how there's warehouses with plastic bins stocked full of votes that are already there for Hillary, which is true.
Right.
We're thinking about how they register people who died 4 years ago to vote Democrat, which is true. But something that a lot of people don't think about or talk about, and let me just break this down for you real quick. In 2008, when Hillary Clinton was running against Obama, her campaign manager was Debbie Wasserman Schultz, right?
Oh yeah, right. And they had the meeting with Soros there and the Bilderberg boys.
Yep. And it was a private meeting, and directly after that meeting, Hillary Clinton jumps out of the race and gives the win to Obama. But wait, let's fast forward, because I don't know if a lot of people. I love playing this game called Connect the Dots.
Okay.
Now let's fast forward to the recent election season, and Tim Kaine was the chairman of the DNC, right? The DNC.
Uh-huh.
Tim Kaine was the chairman of the DNC, and then he decided he wanted to step down, and on his way out, he recommends that they use Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, during this time, emails come to surface from the DNC that were hacked. Some speculate by Russia because they want to go to war with Russia. I speculate it was just some nerdy dudes in a basement somewhere that just are trying to be curious. But these emails exposed that Hillary Clinton, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the DNC, had all pretty much stole the nominee from Bernie Sanders. Not just that, they actually discussed how they needed a taco bowl vote, right? So they're referring to the Latino community as just basically Saul Alinsky's useful idiots to vote for Hillary Clinton because she can pander to these people.
Right.
Now, somewhere during the course of this activity, Debbie Wasserman Schultz steps down, correct? Now, Tim Kaine, who was the chairman of the DNC, has been picked up by the Hillary campaign to run as a VP mate, right? Vice president. Now, when Debbie Wasserman Schultz is stepping down from the DNC, she is picked back up as a campaign manager.
There you go.
Is your mind blown yet? Like, do you feel what I just told you?
Hey.
Dude,
one hand
you know
washes
what I mean? Like,
the other, right?
it's one thing. It's one thing to have dead people voting. It's one thing to know who Soros is and what he's about.
Right.
But the funny thing is, I don't remember anyone really connecting the dots in a way that I just broke it down to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So basically, that was the heist of all heists. That was some criminals that might as well been wearing ski masks as if it was the Italian job.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Mafia.
they literally ran up in the DNC, they took it and ran with it, and then they formed back together.
Oh, right. Yeah. And then they got the computers hacked, and it laid it out for the whole world to look at. But that was the Russians that did that. The big bad Russians, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe it was Edward Snowden because he's such a traitor. I personally think Edward Snowden's a hero.
There you go.
I personally think that guy risked his life to tell us that our government was doing some dirty stuff and spying on us.
Right.
And if you remember when Edward Snowden was actually first outed by the government,
right.
even common everyday Americans were like demanding his death as if he was a traitor and he was selling, secrets to the spies, but
right.
That's not the case. He actually came out and told the American people, "This is what your government is doing to you."
Right.
You know what I mean?
And what about Assange? What about Assange? Don't forget about him.
I think he's a hero as well. I mean, I think
Yep.
I hate to say it, but I feel like his days are numbered. I mean, they already killed his attorney.
Oh, could be.
Again, like when I was at the Clinton rally, I was looking at people that were there in support of Clinton, and I was asking them, I was like, "Do you know who Seth Rich is?"
Mm-hmm.
No.
No.
Do you know who Sean Lucas is? No.
No.
Do you know who Julian Assange is? No. Do you know who his lawyer is? No.
No.
Can you name the people from Benghazi? No. Did you know that your potential candidate sent weapons to the Syrian rebels just before the consulate, or the embassy, was attacked? No. Do you even know who you're voting for?
No, nothing. We know. I know nothing.
All I know is I like Hillary. I love Hillary, and I'm with her. And I like chocolate milk. I like chocolate milk, and I like Hillary.
Cats, right? Puppy dogs.
I like chocolate milk, and I
Safe
like
spaces,
Hillary.
right?
You can't tell me. You cannot tell me not to like Hillary. I like Hillary. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to even, I'm not making fun of people with handicap, but I'm telling you, these people are mentally handicapped.
Please, these people are handicapped. Right, exactly. Well, I tell you what here, it's getting down to the wire.
Yeah, I like popcorn, I like chocolate milk, and I like Hillary Clinton. You know what I mean? It's like And that's what's scary, because look, I don't claim to be the smartest person out there. I don't claim to be the most knowledge,
right?
Or the educated. Dude, I'm a high school dropout. I've been to prison. Okay, like that's my story. I'm a high school dropout because school's for fools, bro. And I went to prison, and then I realized I was the fool. And then at some point, I started to educate myself, because I truly feel like if you were kind of like if you're running on all cylinders, right, upstairs, at some point you look out into this world and you look at the things that you see on the news and you hear about all these world events, social affairs, things of this nature, and you have this moment in your life where you're like, why the hell is all this going on? Mm-hmm. And the minute you start to really ask yourself these questions, like, why, how did we get here? Like, what went wrong? Like, something ain't right. And about the time that I had that moment.
Questions, right.
Yep. About that moment for me, that moment for me was right about the same time the Occupy Wall Street movement kicked off. I remember looking at a guy that I worked with, and I was like, dude, why are people not losing their shit? Like, why are we just basking in this thing like pig slop? You know what I mean? Like, why are we not? And my buddy was like, well, man, people are losing their shit. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, there's a thing going on called Occupy Wall Street. That's just to give you a timeline. From there, I kind of plugged in and started doing research. And from there, like, I found out about Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Bilderberg, all these other things, discovered who Alex Jones was. And a lot of people are like, Alex Jones is this guy who's this nutcase. And
He's
I'm like,
a nutcase,
honestly,
right.
Yeah, he's a nutcase. He's a warmonger. He's a fearmonger and all this other stuff. And I'm like, nah, he's really not, because believe it or not, like, a lot of things that Alex Jones had talked about is, a lot of things that he talked about, immediately I went and researched and found the information for myself. Yeah. So before you tell somebody they're a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, ghost chasing person,
right,
you haven't done your due diligence. You know what I mean? Because like we talked about this the other day when we talked on the phone.
Right.
Behind every lie is some truth, right?
Right. Exactly.
So there you go. Behind
all you
every
have to do is
theory,
all you have to do is ask questions. Is the key to learning is asking questions. So,
So I don't claim to be the brightest tree on the light or the brightest light on the tree, but if I could figure this out as a high school dropout, then anybody can.
Well, hey, it's been great interviewing you on the show here, and we're out of time. We gotta go, and be here next week. Don't forget.
Well, listen, you can find me at outlawmorgan.com or facebook.com/outlawmorgan. I appreciate you having me on the show. I love talking about these kind of things, and maybe we'll do it again.
All right, there you go. Everybody, we'll see you next week